Poverty is the state where individuals or communities lack access to basic necessities such as adequate income, healthcare, education, shelter, and clean water. People experiencing poverty are often unable to meet their fundamental needs and face limited opportunities for economic and social advancement. Poverty statistics in Nigeria. Nigeria has one of the highest poverty rates in the world, with approximately 40% of the population, about 83 million people, living below the poverty line, according to recent estimates by Nigeria's National Bureau of Statistics, (NBS). The World Bank estimates that 4 out of 10 Nigerians live in poverty, primarily in rural areas. Nigeria ranks low in the Human Development Index, (HDI), with limited access to quality education, healthcare, and infrastructure contributing to persistent poverty. Here 10 causes of poverty in Nigeria. 1. High unemployment rate. Nigeria's unemployment rate is high, especially among youth, where over 30% of young people are either unemployed or underemployed. This lack of job opportunities prevents many from earning a sustainable income, contributing to widespread poverty. 2. Poor education system. Limited access to quality education affects individuals' ability to secure well-paying jobs. Around 10 million children are out of school in Nigeria, one of the highest numbers in the world, which limits economic mobility and perpetuates poverty across generations. 3. Political instability and corruption. Corruption and political mismanagement divert resources that could be used to improve social services. Nigeria loses billions of dollars to corruption each year, with these funds being critical for poverty reduction initiatives, healthcare, and infrastructure. 4. Inadequate infrastructure. Poor infrastructure, including unreliable electricity, inadequate transportation systems, and limited access to clean water, hinders economic development and affects daily life. For example, only 57% of the population has access to safe drinking water, which impacts health and productivity. 5. Dependence on oil. Nigeria's economy heavily depends on oil exports, which makes it vulnerable to fluctuations in oil prices. When oil prices drop, economic growth slows, reducing government revenue for essential services and development projects, which in turn increases poverty rates. 6. Population growth. Nigeria has one of the fastest growing populations in the world, with a growth rate of around 2.6% per year. Rapid population growth strains limited resources, including food, housing, and social services, contributing to higher poverty levels. 7. Environmental degradation. Issues like deforestation, desertification, and oil pollution in the Niger Delta have destroyed agricultural land and fishing waters, affecting the livelihoods of many rural communities. This leads to food insecurity and reduced income for those reliant on agriculture. 8. Poor healthcare system. Limited access to quality healthcare increases vulnerability to diseases, reduces life expectancy, and hinders productivity. Only 4% of Nigerians have health insurance, and the lack of affordable healthcare services keeps many households in a cycle of poverty. 9. Gender inequality. Gender inequality limits opportunities for women, particularly in education and employment. In rural areas, women have less access to resources, land, and education, increasing their vulnerability to poverty and affecting family income levels. 10. Insecurity and conflict. Ongoing conflicts, especially in the northeastern region due to groups like Boko Haram, have displaced millions and disrupted farming, schooling, and commerce. The insecurity prevents economic stability and development, further deepening poverty in affected regions. Effects of poverty in Nigeria. Here are 10 effects of poverty in Nigeria, highlighting how it impacts individuals, communities, and the country as a whole. 1. Low educational attainment. Poverty restricts access to quality education, with many families unable to afford school fees, uniforms, or supplies. For example, over 10 million children in Nigeria are out of school, which limits their future job opportunities and economic mobility. 2. Poor health outcomes. Limited access to healthcare leads to high rates of preventable diseases. For instance, malaria, typhoid, and maternal mortality remain prevalent, particularly among impoverished populations, as many cannot afford treatment. Only 4% of Nigerians have health insurance, leaving the majority vulnerable to health crises. 3. Malnutrition and food insecurity. Poverty results in food insecurity, with families unable to afford nutritious meals. Around 25% of Nigerian children under the age of 5 suffer from stunting due to malnutrition, affecting their physical and cognitive development. 4. High unemployment and underemployment. Poverty limits job opportunities, especially for those with limited education. The unemployment rate among youth is over 30%, leading to a large segment of the population being unable to earn a stable income, which further perpetuates poverty. 5. Increased crime rates. Economic hardship drives some individuals towards criminal activities, such as theft, kidnapping, and fraud, as a means of survival. For example, some areas in Nigeria have seen increased rates of kidnapping for ransom due to economic desperation. 6. Child labor. In poor households, children are often forced to work to help support the family. Millions of Nigerian children work as street hawkers, in farms, or in informal jobs, which interferes with their education and exposes them to exploitation and abuse. 7. Environmental degradation. Poverty forces people to rely on unsustainable practices, such as deforestation for firewood and overfishing, to meet their basic needs. This results in environmental issues like soil erosion, loss of biodiversity, and further degradation of the land. 8. Increased rural-urban migration. Many people in poverty-stricken rural areas migrate to cities in search of work, leading to overcrowded urban areas and slums. For example, Lagos and Abuja experience significant population growth, straining housing and infrastructure, and increasing urban poverty. 9. Higher dependency ratios. With limited resources and opportunities, people in poverty often have larger family sizes, leading to a high dependency ratio. In many cases, a single breadwinner supports an entire family, which puts financial pressure on the household and limits savings and investment. 10. Political instability and social unrest. Poverty can lead to dissatisfaction with government, leading to protests, social unrest, and, in some cases, recruitment into extremist groups. For instance, youth unemployment and economic hardship have contributed to the rise of groups like Boko Haram in northeastern Nigeria. Measures to reduce poverty in Nigeria. Here are some key measures that can help reduce poverty in Nigeria, focusing on economic, social, and structural improvements. 1. Improving access to quality education. Expanding access to free or subsidized education and vocational training can equip young people with skills needed for employment. Investing in education infrastructure and teacher training, especially in rural areas, can improve literacy and job readiness, helping to break the cycle of poverty. 2. Promoting job creation and entrepreneurship. The government and private sector can support job creation by promoting small and medium enterprises, SMEs, particularly in sectors like agriculture, technology, and services. Programs that provide microloans and financial training can help individuals start their own businesses, boosting local economies and generating employment. 3. Enhancing agricultural productivity. Since agriculture employs a large portion of Nigeria's population, especially in rural areas, improving agricultural productivity through modern farming techniques, access to credit, and irrigation systems can increase farmers' income. Establishing better market linkages can also help farmers get fair prices for their produce, reducing rural poverty. 4. Expanding access to healthcare. Providing affordable healthcare through subsidies or universal health insurance can help low-income families reduce medical expenses, which often lead to poverty. Investing in healthcare infrastructure, such as hospitals and clinics in underserved areas, will improve health outcomes and workforce productivity. 5. Investing in infrastructure development. Improving infrastructure, including roads, electricity, clean water, and sanitation, can support economic growth by enabling access to markets, reducing production costs, and improving overall living standards. Reliable infrastructure can also attract investment, creating new economic opportunities. 6. Strengthening social safety nets. Expanding social safety net programs, like conditional cash transfers, food subsidies, and scholarships for low-income families, can provide financial support to vulnerable groups, particularly in times of crisis. These programs help prevent families from falling into poverty when faced with unexpected financial burdens. 7. Addressing corruption and improving governance. Reducing corruption and ensuring that funds meant for public services are used effectively can help drive development. Transparency in government spending, strengthening institutions, and enforcing anti-corruption laws are essential for efficient service delivery and poverty reduction. 8. Implementing family planning programs. Providing access to family planning services and education can help families manage household size, reduce dependency ratios, and allocate resources better, which is especially beneficial in resource-limited rural areas. 9. Encouraging financial inclusion. Increasing access to financial services like savings accounts, loans, and insurance can empower low-income families to manage their finances and invest in opportunities that generate income. Initiatives to provide digital financial services can improve financial literacy and resilience. 10. Promoting gender equality. Ensuring equal access to education, employment, and economic resources for women can reduce poverty, as women play a key role in household welfare. Supporting women entrepreneurs and removing barriers to ownership and inheritance rights for women can increase family income and reduce poverty.